Okay, welcome back to the interview section of today's podcast. Already introduced, but I will introduce him again. My guest today is the wonderful Greg Coulson. Hello, Greg.
Hello, Dan. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm not too bad. A bit tired, but I'm okay. Other than that,
I, I think we all are here because obviously we're coming just off the back of the Healing Blues Festival, which I was at, and I mentioned this because that's actually the first place where I saw you perform live.
oh wow. Okay, so
Yeah,
that must have been goodness, what 2018 maybe?
I think it was. Yeah, I think
Mm.
your album had just released your first album, the studio album that came out then.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
yeah, it's funny because it's one of those, and a similar one happened a couple of years ago with what's now Connolly Hayes, the Jess Hayes band when they
Yeah.
played. It's one of those sets that people still talk about. Were you when you're at the festival and you talk to people, they still go, "Were you there for this one? Were you there for that one?" And you
Oh,
are one
okay,
of
that's
those sets,
interesting.
if that makes sense.
Oh, right.
So yeah, that's always really interesting to talk to people about the previous years and who was there. And you're one that always comes up for some reason every time. But well, we know why. But it's
Well, I
great.
mean, I'd like to go back there, but I never get asked. So
Well,
it
it's a
comes out
wonderful.
my style.
Well, I know. I mean, you're definitely in style with it. So hopefully one day, because it's an easy way for me to see you because I don't live too far from Ealing. So it's a nice, easy way for me to get to see you live.
Yeah, man.
I want to start anyway, first of all, and probably giving it away a bit there, but I always like to ask my artists as a first question what genre they would say best describes their music, just for a new listener.
Let's say blues, jazz, funk, soul. There you
Yeah.
go, in a nutshell. But it's man, I don't know. I mean, I when I set out to do this, it was a different thing to what it is now or what it has become. So it's quite difficult to pigeonhole it, I suppose, now because
Mm.
it's just something that I end up doing as opposed to following some kind of mad blueprint. It
Yeah.
was essentially to get the project up off the ground, and it still is. I still love blues. I still love rhythm and blues. I still love jump blues. Any type of blues, I'm
Mm.
into. I'm totally influenced by all those subgenres. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to categorize my music into one of
Mm.
those subgenres. I just find it, I don't know. It's really tricky, and it's a bit of a marketing tool, I think, for bands to just say it is a
Yeah.
blues band because then it gets people on side before you've even played a note. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
so it's a bit of a struggle in that respect because I feel like, especially now in 2025, for me as a musician, I just find that trying to market something like that is going against the grain for me as a musician or as a
Yeah.
songwriter. But if somebody like yourself, who hadn't listened to my music for, who was new to it, for instance, I'd
Mm.
definitely say something along the lines of blues, jazz, funk, soul, just to get them in the feels, to get them
Yeah.
vibing with something that this is what this is. Do you
Yeah.
agree? Do you
Yeah. No.
agree?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. I always, it's the one question I ask that artists seem to struggle with. Some of them find it really easy. Some find it a lot harder. So it's probably the most difficult question I ask. But as I say, I always ask it just for a new listener. And what you say there probably is the easiest way to describe it. I like to interview chronologically when I do. So I
Oh
want to
man.
start and go back right to the beginning of your life, really, and just look at what was playing in the household growing up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily your choice to hear it, but what were the first musical sounds you were hearing?
Well, I was really fortunate. I was brought up in a very musical household. Both my parents had very different tastes in music, so I got just an kind of eclectic range of music, I suppose. An eclectic range, an eclectic. Do you know what I mean? It was either the Beatles or it was Steely Dan,
Mm,
or my mum was heavily involved in musical theatre, so I got a load of that. A load of Edith Piaf,
mm,
a load of kind of soundtracks, Oliver, Hello Dolly, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
When growing up, but the band that really swung it for me, I think, from an early age was definitely the Beatles. I don't think I would have taken such an interest in music had it not been for just their nursery rhyme style. And I don't mean that as like a knock at the Beatles. I mean it as
yeah,
in the sincerest way I possibly can mean it, which is you listen to something like Octopus's Garden or Yellow Submarine, it can get a kid's attention very
yeah.
easily. and it's quite musically dense as well. You know, the instrumentation, whatever's in that kind of music is definitely accessible for a 3-4 year old. But I was
Mm.
listening to Steely Dan in the back of my dad's car. You know, he had all the cassettes, so he was always playing me stuff like Gaucho, so Babylon
Mm.
Sisters.
Yeah.
That was a massive part of my upbringing. Paul Simon, I don't know, singer-songwriters that kind of I go back to now. Like, I don't know, I'm listening to Lyle Lovett recently,
Yeah.
and my dad used to play me him when I was a kid. Randy Newman, a lot of Randy Newman. Stuff like Little Criminals. His album is just such a huge influence on what I do now, probably more so than what I did back in the day when you would have seen me around 2018.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is kind of bluesy, singer-songwritery piano stuff with a little bit of New Orleans style, not too much, but kind of geared towards the Steely Dan stuff, I suppose. But yeah, that's what I was brought up on: the Beatles, Steely Dan. Later on, it was kind of Ian Dury and the Blockheads, the punk stuff, the Jam, a lot of that, you know, a lot of Paul Weller actually. When I was about 15, 16, or bands like Green Day. Hey man, I went to see Guns N' Roses recently at Wembley.
Mm.
My wife is a massive Guns N' Roses fan, and somebody turned around to me, a drummer friend of mine, and he said to me, "I can't believe you went to see Guns N' Roses." I was like, "What do you mean you can't believe?" It's like, that's so hard to believe that I would. I am a massive Guns N' Roses fan. I love Guns. I
Yeah.
love the first album, Appetite for Destruction. Not so much their later stuff. I was never a massive fan of Use Your Illusion or anything like that, but definitely that first album really resonated with me when I was a kid. You know, and it just goes like back to listening to people like Stevie Ray Vaughan as well. So that was kind of very, very prevalent. Sorry,
Yeah.
but I'm just talking about the kind of mainstream stuff. I'm not even talking about jazz. You know,
Mm.
Keith Jarrett. My dad was always
Yeah.
playing Keith Jarrett, Pat Metheny, John Scott,
Mm. Yeah.
all, you know, all this like jazz swimming around the house. A lot of classical, a lot of classical, a lot of Sibelius was kicking around the house. My dad was always listening to that.
Mm.
So I was just exposed just from a very early age, like I said previously, you know, just an eclectic, yeah, just loads of stuff.
Well, that's what. Well, what I find so interesting about that is that from being someone who has listened to your music for quite a while and then also seen you live a few times over the years, it's what you say there really matches you still, if that kind of makes sense from my
Yeah,
perspective.
man. Yeah.
Even just when it comes down to listening to Steely Dan, for example, the jazz infusion of that comes into your jazz infused kind of bluesy soul music, right? And then when it comes to saying your mother's from the theatre side of things, I mean, when you're on stage, it's quite a theatric experience. You're not someone who just sits down at that piano, at that keyboard, right? You stand up and you play all different instruments and things like that, from what I remember anyway. And like, is that where it all comes from, do you think?
I think it's, yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's definitely not who I am off stage.
Mm.
If that makes sense. It's this persona that kind of I have to drag myself up on stage to bring the show to life. I'm not talking about the session stuff that I do. I mean, that's a different thing entirely, but
Mm.
definitely for my show, you know, when people come to see it, it's got to be, I don't know what you mentioned, you know, if it isn't that, if it's not me jumping around the stage, or if it's not, I don't know, some kind of a show, for instance, you know,
Yeah.
we refer to it now as the show. We put
Yeah.
a show on. It's not just turning up and playing blues or playing jazz,
Yeah.
or it's immersive. I like to have people on side with me and making sure that they are in the room, or in the field with
Yeah.
us, experiencing what we are experiencing. It's not so much. I like the feeling of like it's in the round. It's not just proscenium arch and everyone's looking at us
Yeah.
and enjoying that band that's playing on stage. I like to think of it as an experience, and that's what also makes it difficult. If I'm not feeling it, or if I'm not enjoying it, then I kind of really struggle with the idea that the audience might be enjoying it,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's been gigs that I've done in the past where I've played some music and I've finished and I don't know what happened in the middle. It's
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
so, but that's just for my stuff, you know. It's not every band every other band that I play with, it's a different experience entirely. It's not the same feeling.
Yeah. No, definitely. We'll touch on some of those bands later. I'm pretty sure. I want to actually ask though, because we talked about playing live. Obviously, moving forward in life, you said about finding your own musical taste and everything there. When did it start? Then developing into picking up instruments and playing them and songwriting, etc. When did that all come into play?
So I got I mean, there was always a piano. My granddad was a piano player.
Mm.
I very rarely heard him play. As soon as we'd walk in and he was playing the piano, he'd stop immediately, which I
Yeah.
always thought was really weird. So it would have been nice to. He passed away last year. I would have always liked to have actually heard him play,
Mm.
and I never got that opportunity. But it kind of came from there. And they had like a beat up old. Well, they did have an old piano in their front room that I just used to bash around on and
Yeah.
make noise on as a kid, I suppose. And then I think when I turned around 8 or 9, we got given a piano from some kind of yard sale. Again, another old beat up upright that was 2 semitones out of tune. And but I got the feel for it when I was introduced to ragtime music. So Joplin, sorry, the Entertainer, and I learned how to
Mm.
play that basically, and I didn't stop playing it for probably about 2 years, much to my parents' disapproval. It was just, can you stop playing that now and learn something else? Or the Harry Lime theme, which is the Third Man,
Mm.
um, which also the band covered on the last waltz. Check that out.
Yeah. I love the band. Love the
Yeah,
band.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Check it
So
out.
good.
They
Yeah.
did a version of it, the Third Man. So there's all these like kooky kind of theme tunes, or Scott Joplin or whatever, and a lot of that,
Yeah.
a lot of the musical, my musical theatre background as well, that played into it because I wanted to learn the songs from Oliver, which kind of had that feel anyway. You could play it on the piano and it
Mm.
sounded like ragtime.
Yeah.
The way that it was composed, the chord changes and stuff. So it had that vibe, or not ragtime, but music hall, London pubs,
Yeah.
pub piano player, maybe, I don't know, but it kind of, and that's how I got the bug for it. And I started, and I swear to God, I haven't stopped playing the piano since. I,
Yes.
I really haven't. I get up every day, and I must. It's a compulsion now.
Yeah.
I don't think about it. I've been playing today. Even though I'm knackered, then I'm still playing. It's an
Yeah.
obsession and a compulsion. And I've got a lovely upright. I'm fortunate. I've got a lovely Yamaha
Mm.
upright in my house now that is mine, and it just I walk past it every day, and I can't help but play it, which is a
Yeah.
gift in itself, I suppose.
Well, it's a relaxer, isn't it? And it's also it's muscle training, isn't it? It's just keeping those muscles, the musical muscles working, not just physical muscles, as in for the movements on the piano, but it's also the mind of a musician, isn't it? Because I'm gonna be pretty sure that you're not just playing, other people's songs when you pick it up. You are improvising and things, I'd assume.
Yeah, man. I do a lot of noodling. It's just
Yeah.
noodling, almost sketching. That's what it is. It's sketches or figures. I like to play little figures, like blues, jazz figures, essentially, um, that I can improvise over. I do it in different keys, and I get to my grips with not necessarily thinking about the technical side of playing, but more of the feeling. So I'm sure there's piano players. Well, I know that there's piano players or musicians out there who know it, every single mode through and every single chord change and why this sounds good if you go to here. And yeah, I have some of that
Yeah.
theory in my head in terms of the harmony knowledge is pretty strong.
Mm.
I really know what I'm doing when it comes to
Yeah.
that. Um, but as much as that is a blessing, it can be a curse as well, because then a lot of the time you're spending too much time thinking about the theory of it.
Yeah.
When you strip it all back, it is after all a language. That's all we're doing, is we're speaking the same language. So, for instance, I don't know, Ed Sheeran probably
Mm.
can't speak the same language as somebody who's playing Ronnie Scott's
Yeah.
on Thursday night, but he sold more records. So it doesn't. It really, it's like where you want to gauge that as a
Yeah.
musician or a songwriter or whatever. Where do you want to practice? Where do you feel the the artistry lies? I believe it's in songwriting personally.
Mm.
I think for me, I mean, people are much better at it than I am. But when I sit down and play, it could be a potential idea for a song. And 9 times out of 10, I'll get a riff down, or I'll get an idea down, and whether
Yeah.
it's a melody or a harmony, and it'll just stop because I won't have the the meaning behind it, the feeling won't be
Mm.
there, or the lyric won't be there, or something, and then I feel inhibited by it. You know, it's tricky, but yeah,
Yeah.
they're my thoughts on playing an instrument, I suppose, or being a songwriter.
Well, no, I totally agree. For me, the artistry is in songwriting as well. I'm a songwriter's person. That's why I always value songwriting and probably over anything else, to be honest. And obviously, you're talking about practicing. Growing up, you would have been practicing further and further. I kind of really want to know though how you got into the music industry, because I know you played in some high profile bands as well, as also doing your own music. But how did you get into the industry initially and just start playing with bands and then moving on to those two high profile
That
bands that
man,
we might be able
that
to name?
that is the question, isn't it, on everybody's mind? How did one end up doing that?
Yeah.
Because I swear to, I was walking down. I might digress this a little bit, but it'll
Mhm.
make my point. I
Yeah.
was walking. I was playing with the Blockheads the other day. We had two
Yeah.
shows. Really enjoying the Blockheads, which again is just a mind,
Yeah.
like, it blows my mind every time I'm doing it. I was walking through London after doing sound check. My wife was with
Mm.
me. I just had this sudden realization. I'm 34 now, and I turned around to her and I said, "I can't believe I'm still doing this."
Yeah.
She goes, "What do you mean?" It's like, when I first started doing this, I was terrified, man. I would drive into London on a Tuesday night to go and do a
Yeah.
gig at the 100 Club at the age of, like, I don't know, 17, 18.
Yeah.
I had no money. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd barely just passed my test, and
Yeah.
yet keyboard would go in the car, and somehow the next thing I know, I found myself on stage and I'm playing, and all I know, or all I did know back then was I'm enjoying this and I wanna do
Yeah.
it, and I God, I wanna do some more. And I think that's what drove me on. But I think there's a lot of people out there who don't maybe experience the same level of ambition as the people who are still doing it now. They didn't get that initial buzz from it, so it
Yeah.
stopped them from doing it. I basically just hung around, Dan. I hung around and I showed up, and I didn't let anybody down. So even in the first kind of tin pot bands I was in, I was 100% committed to the cause, or
Yeah.
the effort, or whatever it was that if somebody had a vision for something and I believed enough in it, I would do it.
Yeah.
I was man. I joined the Selector when I was 19, and
Yeah.
I was amazed when I got the phone call from the musical director, and he said, "Yeah, we want to go out to Czech Republic, and we'll pay you 100 quid." I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I've landed. That's it. I've done it. I've completed. I've done it." Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've won.
It's a lot of money for a 19-year-old, 100 quid,
It
isn't
was
it?
just a lot of but to go to the Czech Republic and just earn
Yeah.
100 quid was just like, mate, pull the other one. It's got bells on it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it was just unbelievable at that time. And I kind of had that thought when I was walking down some street in London. I just felt so just bloody fortunate, I suppose,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of people out there who don't get that same level of I don't know, of success, I suppose, because I do consider it to be a success. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. I'd be doing another
Yeah.
job. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to make a living off it. And people quite often say, "God, you're so busy." And I said, "Well, thank God, because if I wasn't busy, then the kids would be going hungry and I wouldn't have a
Yeah.
mortgage." Do you know what I mean? So there's a reality to it all in which, if I don't do this, then I won't be. It's not sustainable. But in terms of getting into it, yeah, I mean, there are 1,001 stories I could tell you about how I went from A to B and then finally got to D. Does that make sense? It's
Yes.
essentially off. So it's a lot of networking, extending those circles,
Yeah.
and getting to know somebody who might know you. But I tell you what, man, if you can't play, you're not going to get asked.
Yeah.
If you don't turn up on time, you're not going to get asked. If you are difficult to work with, or if you've got a higher opinion of yourself, if your ego runs away with you in certain situations, then you're not going to get asked, because people don't want to work with with those types of people
Yeah.
in
No,
any
totally
industry.
agree.
I'm not even talking about music. I'm just talking about any industry. there's just again a reality to it where music is a business, whether you like it or not. Yes, they've got nothing to do with each other. Business is separate to music, and
Yeah.
music business is separate. It's separate to music, but the two and two, they do coincide, and there are people out there who are willing to employ musicians, but if you don't fit those things that I've mentioned, or you don't rise to the occasion, then I just think it becomes really tricky, and you're not going to get asked back. You're not going to do the work. You're just not going to get paid, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are other factors that play into that, but yeah, in terms of how I got into it, it was just about showing up on time, learning the stuff as well, man. There's a lot of young musicians I see out there now who are just sitting around with iPads,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just think you're idiots. You're just idiots, because you're not going to benefit from that, and your mind's not going to be in a place where you're capable of retaining the information, because you're just looking at a piece of paper, and it's different sides of your brain that are working or are configuring to do that. It's so, again, like back from my musical theatre background, it was, you learn the script before you go into rehearsals. You don't use the rehearsal time to learn the script, because you're holding people up all the time. And yeah, there might be exceptions where you get a last minute call to dep on a gig and you need some notes there. I absolutely agree with that. But there's people that have been playing in bands for years that are still doing this, like looking at the iPad. I just think, on what planet do you live, man? Like, just get to grips with it, learn it, listen to it, write it down. I don't know how people learn things. I know everyone's different, but I do think that I have a gripe with it. It's like it's a thing. But I'm also a hypocrite, because sometimes I do have to use an iPad. So it's basically having a word with myself, Dan.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's using the tools to your benefit for the right way, isn't it? Like using it the way that benefits yourself. And I really like that answer, because I obviously I ask some questions, I ask artists more than others. Other questions I ask are totally individual to individual artists, and this is one that I ask a lot of artists. And it's not often you hear someone who actually says, well, when I ask, how did you get into the industry? It's not often someone says, well, it's because of these key core values I have, not because I did this or did that or did this. It's because of these key core values I have, and that's how I run myself as a musician, and how I do it. And and you have a measure of success that's your measure of success. That's what you see as successful for you. It's make sure you're busy, working hard, always got something on the go, something happening, managing to keep your family well fed, and having a nice life, etc., from what you do. So it's a really nice answer to hear that, actually.
Cool, man. Yeah, sometimes I can come across, I listen back to these things and I think, God, why did I say that? But I say it because I genuinely mean it. I do mean it. And I'd say to anybody that was trying to get into the business, or who wants to be a musician, just like, do your best and don't argue with the person that's giving you the work. I think just be like, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. That's cool. I kind of see where you're coming from on that. Even if you don't, or you disagree, maybe spend a year in the band before you share your opinions. Possibly. Or don't, and go and run your own thing.
Yes,
You
exactly.
can be a boss, and you can tell people what to do, and you can pay people and sort out the fees and the budgets and the logistics and the accommodations and whatever it is that you have to sort out that makes your own project run. Or it's just interesting that I do think there's a lot of people out there who don't get it, who don't understand it, whatever it is, and it becomes it just becomes laborious and annoying. And yeah, God, I don't want to work with you again.
No, I can definitely see that. And from my, well, I think we can all tell the musicians that are like that and the ones that aren't. I won't say, because luckily I've never had any of them on the podcast. I've been very lucky with that.
That's all right then. Yeah, you could. Yeah,
I don't invite them on.
Yeah, exactly. I could really. I did see, and this is the thing as well. It's like the iPad thing. I did see someone the other day, at a festival, who was running his own project, and he had an iPad in front of him, and I just thought it was poor. And I do think it's poor. It's like, they're your songs, man. You wrote the lyrics. Like, what could you possibly be? What's that about?
You've only got to learn your own songs.
I know, yeah, you had one job. You had
Yeah.
one job.
Yeah, exactly. Well, talking of your own songs, I want to start talking about the music you've released now, because obviously we've spoken about how you got into the industry, and that obviously leads then to releasing music. And a landmark moment within your career, I'm sure you agree, would be What's New, which is the debut album that came out, the one that I saw you perform, well, most of the songs from in Ealing when I first saw you live. Back 7-8 years ago, however long it was. And yeah, can you tell us how that album came about and what led to it?
I was forced into it, Dan. Somebody forced me to do it. I never thought I'd write an album and release it as at the age that I did, and it was turned into something that I felt obliged to do after a while.
Yeah.
For the good, though, the project was essentially co-conceived by me and well, the amazing guitarist and producer Stuart Dixon. I don't know if you've come across Stuart. He's amazing. He's not playing so much anymore. I wish he would, because he is incredible. But he basically just pushed me to get the project up off the ground. And I met him in a bar and did a jam with him. And he just said, "Do you want to do some recording with me? I'd like to get your project up off the ground." And we did it. And I just thought it'd be a couple of songs. And he was like, "No, do an album." I was like, "An album?" So you want me to do an album, mate? I don't have enough. I've barely written 4, 5 songs by then. I just didn't know what I was doing. So essentially, I got a load of riffs together. I got a bunch of lyrics that when I listen back to them now, I just think, what am I going on? That makes no sense. But I don't know, man. People like that album. People like that album, and I listen to it and I think, what a load of old rubbish. Some of it, there's about 3 or 4 songs on there what I'm pretty proud of, and we still play them in the set now.
Yeah.
And they are meaningful, and they do. I still resonate with them, and I can still sing them now and not grimace when I sing them, or like flinch at the lyrics, or they're quite relatable actually. And also the lyrics are very ambiguous. Make of them. There's a lot of people out there, especially on the blues scene, who don't really pay much attention to the songwriting side of things. I've always thought that it's just an excuse to play a big bloody guitar solo.
Yeah.
It doesn't and that doesn't light my lamp, unfortunately. It does occasionally if you give them the right moment. But that album was specifically designed to get this project up off the ground, whatever this project does.
Yeah.
I think it did its job. And I'm pleased you brought it up, actually, because not many people do. I've done a few of these things and they just rattle through it. But I like the fact that you've asked me about it. And it was good. It just got me. It got me to do something that I probably wouldn't have done myself. So Roger Innes, who played bass on it, he was really supportive. He played a massive role.
He's a great bass player. He's a great bass player.
But more importantly, Dan, everyone goes on about Roger's bass playing. I like Roger's bass playing. It's great. It's fantastic. Can't fault it. But more importantly, Roger as a human and a friend, that stuff to me means way more than any old note Roger Innes has ever played in his entire life. He's a caring, nurturing soul. And when this project kicked off, he just had my back and he helped me get it up off the ground.
Yeah.
So for that in itself, again, going back to why would you want to work with somebody? That's a reason why people would probably want to work with Rog, because he's lovely and he just wants to nurture talent and go through those experiences of when that up and coming talent surfaces, I suppose.
Well, I wanted to bring up that album because it's for me, it was a huge blues album for me, because I'd finished university in 2018 and that was my first summer off. Obviously I had some leftover money in the bank from the student loan that was still there, so it was one of the first few albums I kind of was able to luxury sort of just buy. So I bought a copy of it and it kind of stayed with me all these years, and obviously kind of been in agony that we haven't really had a new one until quite recently, which is in February you released a live record from the studio, right? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so basically we hadn't got, I'm terrible for releasing music, Dan. I can't part with anything because there's no record company, there's no purpose really, unless you just want to kind of constantly release music and then hopefully the algorithm in Spotify will trigger and your listeners
Yeah.
will. So it's quite disheartening when you pour your heart and soul into something, you release it to the world, and you don't get the feedback that you feel that you should. But it's nice,
Mm.
obviously, you're on the we're talking and you love it, and that means so much to me, man. Honestly,
No,
that's really sweet.
genuinely. Yeah.
That's really sweet. I do appreciate that. So Crescent Record Studio came about through basically not releasing any music and having all this stuff on my hard drive and prepping for an album or the next EP. And I just thought, you know what? We just need to go into a studio and record
Yeah.
some tracks to get this thing going again, because
Yeah.
it was just a very stagnant. So we went in, we recorded the EP, we had it filmed, and then we did the EP release in February. So it just consists of basically five tracks, two of which are covers.
Yeah.
And well, I've done one cover of mine, which appears on What's New as
Yeah.
well. But it was just an opportunity to just stick up some microphones and press record.
Yeah.
And that's essentially it. And I invited Will Wilde, the harmonica player.
Yeah. He's amazing, by the way.
Yeah, he's incredible,
Yeah,
right?
love Will Wild to pieces. His album this year, is it Blues is Alive?
He's just
That's
so
a
alive, yeah, man.
fantastic record. Fantastic record.
Yeah, and I played all over that. I had the pleasure
Did
of the
you? Oh,
gig.
amazing.
All the keyboards that you hear on that, it's yours truly. So
Oh, super.
I've done a bit of work with Will this year as well. When
Mm.
I can, I'll go and play keys with him. Unfortunately, I've got other commitments, well, including my own band. But it's quite tricky to say yes to everything. But Will's definitely one thing that I enjoy doing, and we just get on really well. And he's a friend. So anyway, he came down to do this live session with me, and I said, "Do you want to feature on a couple of tracks?" And he did, and he played the hell out of it, man. He's just such a lovely.
Yeah.
He's a lovely, again, just a nice soul, nice human being to have in the room, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. One song I love on it is "Why Don't You Do Right." It's a fantastic rendition of that tune. It's an amazing song, and the performance of it's brilliant as well. It's a real sort of it's a bit more of a slow blues kind of thing, but it's a Greg Coulson slow blues, if that makes sense. It's definitely well within your style, isn't it?
It definitely is. I mean, when I introduce it on stage, I make the point of saying we've played this song for years, and each time we play it live at a gig, everyone comes up and says, "Oh, we got that song available to," and that's partly one of the reasons why we went into the studio to record, is because we hadn't got that down, and it was it's so difficult to get that. Even I'm not really that happy with the version that we've recorded, but it's only me who will probably know. I mean, I could have done a better job on the day, but I think that was like the last track that we did, and my voice was tired, and it's a bit pitchy. But that's the beauty of that EP. It's all live. There's no overdubs. It's what you hear is what was recorded on the day. There's nothing else. There's no auto tune. There's no pitch correction. There's no splicing of takes. It's just set the microphones up and play, which in this day and age with AI and producers just brick walling stuff, it doesn't happen where you get a live band. And so anyway, I digress. But the Why Don't You Do Right, that's why we did it, and I'm pleased to say that I think it came out well enough to release. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that's what people. I always make the point before we go on stage and say that this is Why Don't You Do Right, and we've got it recorded now. So come and buy an EP. For the love of God, buy an EP.
Well, that's the thing. It's the thing about this record is that it's polished but raw at the same time, because you and your band are so well rehearsed, but at the same time, it is the live show but done in the studio, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the next time we do it, I might do it with an audience. So that'd be quite a good idea, to give a little bit of I don't know, just atmosphere or something.
It's extra energy, I think, isn't it, when they get the audience there, because you see what they're feeding off of, but then at the same time you're feeding off the audience whilst performing, and that's what's being recorded. And things gradually speed up, things things slow down to a quiet point so that the audience goes all hush hush, and all sorts of stuff happens at a live show, doesn't it? So
yeah, exactly. And that's what I was thinking. It would be quite cool to just get something like that filmed and put an audience in the room who are all wearing headphones or something like that. Something that would be exciting to watch, I suppose. And I'm giving all my ideas away here, Dan. Someone's gonna, somebody might be listening to this. Oh, yeah, it's got a good idea.
Well, I want to actually talk. I want to talk to you about other projects you're involved in. Now, I don't know how much you're allowed to say because I hear things from talking to people, and I've spoken to Danielle Knights about some things as well. Obviously, you produce records as well,
I do.
and play on a lot of records. So, can you tell us more about that? You don't have to necessarily reveal projects unless you want to, but there's one project I'm very excited about because it's you're working at the moment. I won't say who. No one will know from this. You are working with my first sort of love of the blues, as in the first artist that inspired me to love blues music. As far as I'm aware, you're working with them anyway, from what I've heard. So, but yeah, do you want to tell us more?
Who's that? You can tell. You can say. I don't
Well,
mind. Go on.
it's the sister of someone we've just been speaking about.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, no, that's cool, man. Yeah,
yeah,
we are, yeah. Well, yeah, we are definitely working together, and it's yeah. So, oh well, I'll just say because I mean, she won't mind. She'll probably forget as well. Yeah, I'm working with Danny Wild at the moment. I'm
yeah,
producing the next album.
yeah.
So she's coming down to the studio, and we're doing all this. Yeah, just this new. I won't say anything about the project.
No.
You might want to have her on your podcast. I don't know.
Well, I'm hoping to network between you and Will and try
Hey,
and
man.
see if I can get
Yeah,
to her because
I'm sure they'll
yeah,
say yes. I'm sure they'll say yes. But yeah, so Danny, I again, like, yeah, she was one of the first blues artists that I started listening to as well because
yeah,
she was signed to Roof Records, and I was always interested in that record label when I was a
mm,
kid.
yeah,
It kind of it seemed just quite. I couldn't believe that there was a blues thing going on in the UK, and there was all these
yeah,
like, like Ollie Brown and stuff. I quite liked
yeah,
him.
yeah,
But yeah, Danny's wicked. And she's dead cool because she'll just come in the studio and she'll be like, she'll sit down and she'll go, right, I've got a song. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? And then we just spend the whole day creating it. So she comes in once a month
yeah,
to just basically it just ticks over and ticks over. But
yeah,
we work really well together. It seems to be very, very productive, and I'm excited for it. So, and yeah, I mean, I work with a load of other. It's primarily female singer-songwriters that I
mm.
produce. Actually, there's producing Chrissy Matthews' partner at the
Oh
moment,
yeah,
Marley Array. So she's in the studio. She absolutely smashed it last year coming in. She was in
mm.
again like Danny once a month. I think we got about 12 or 13 songs down in the end. So she's just starting to release material.
Mm.
And there's another singer-songwriter that I work with called Olivia Francis Brown.
Mm.
She's good. And yeah, I mean, it just does tick over thanks to running the studio in Northampton and being able to
Yeah,
take these artists and saying, I can get this done really quickly in a matter of a day. The aim is to get at least one track done in a day,
yeah, yeah,
fully recorded, not necessarily mixed or mastered, but
mm.
knocked into a shape which is acceptable to listen to and go
Yeah,
and proud of, and you've realized the vision, you've understood it. you know
yeah, yeah. It must be amazing just assembling musicians together in a room, like because it's something I'll never experience. Probably is it's just assembling a group of musicians together and just putting
well,
them onto a record and making it sound great.
I know, but I have to say, Dan, this is again a little secret of mine, but when I work by myself. I don't
Oh,
work with other
of
musicians.
course, you're a multi-instrumentalist, aren't you?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but also as well, if I it's like too many cooks, man. This
yeah,
is the secret. You can get it done in a day if you've got no one to argue with.
yeah, yeah,
And it's always the case if so, when I was in bands when I was younger. I think this is why I was, because I got obviously a micromanagement thing going on. When I was in bands as a kid, somebody would, you'd sit there after an hour and a half and someone would go, I've got an idea, and you'd be like, shh, don't want to hear your ideas, mate. And again, that was just the way that if it was my project, I'm not talking about other people's project. If it was my project, I'm like this.
yeah,
It's my project.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
I say sometimes that it's good to have other people in if you want them in and you've got an idea for how they might fit. But it's tricky when you've got drummer, bass player, and guitarist in a room all giving it a bit of that.
yeah.
So Skull and Crossbones, for instance, the single that I think it was
Mm.
last year or the year before, that was just entirely self-produced.
Yeah,
And it's a nice thing to listen to now because I think I I did the best job I possibly could.
Mm.
You know, it's all just produced by myself. There's no other instrumentalists on it, so you can it enables you to get things done a little bit quicker,
Yeah.
but also sound a certain way as well. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I had the budget and the time, then yeah, it'd be great to get a load of musicians in the studio, like we did at Crescent Records, because there
Yeah.
was budget and then there was time, and you could pay people for their time. We had a grant essentially that allowed us
Yeah.
that time in the studio.
Well, Greg, I'm looking forward to finding out what else is coming up for yourself as well. Especially because obviously we know you're producing projects with these artists. Especially for me, I'm very excited about the Danny Wild one. We also know that you're playing live shows all the times and things. So can you let us know what's coming up for yourself? Bear in mind that this episode will be coming out early September, just so you know.
Oh, cool. So yeah, that's interesting. So well, yeah, September. Let me jog my mind forward. Yeah, so we will be doing. We're actually. I mean, it probably will have been announced by now, but we're going on tour in Europe. We've got
Mhm.
we've got a little European leg to do at the back end of October that goes through to November 11th, I think, and then we get straight back from that, and we head to the Picturedrome in Northampton to do a co-headline show with none other than Will Wilde himself. So
Mm.
it's a bit of a hometown show for me, and then Will's going to do the second set. So we'll do 2 1-hour sets.
Yeah.
And then we got a few. I think we're doing Lou. What was it? Lou Rhythm and Blues Festival
Mm.
on December 6th, 4th, 5th, something like that. That weekend, anyway.
Yeah.
And there'll be some great bands playing that weekend. So lots to look forward to. Lots of logistical kind of barriers getting in the way,
Yeah.
such as carnets, and got to buy a van, Dan. Got to
Yes.
buy a van. And that's kind of see, this is the reality of it all. You know, it's not
Yeah.
the gigs are great, but you've got to take into consideration that the costs to actually do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's the first time this project has gone out to Europe ever.
Yeah.
So that in itself that's terrifying. That stuff keeps me awake at night, man.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was chatting to Els Bailey at the Ealing Blues Festival this weekend, and some of the logistics of what she had to do with the show, I won't say because obviously that's what she's told me, but some of it you would never even think that you had to think about that kind of stuff and what time she had to be actually at the festival, even though she was headlining at the end of the day and things. You would never think that was going to be the case, but
No.
so,
people only see it from the point where you walk on stage and then
yeah,
you leave
the
the
glitz
stage.
and glamour.
No, man. Or maybe at the merchandise desk where
Yeah.
you're trying to flog your wares, and it's just. But other than that, I mean, that's my band. I mean, I've joined the band Morchiba this year, so I've been out with them.
Oh,
Stuff.
excellent.
And that's cool. I'm actually going to France tomorrow with them, so I'm doing a little bit of work with them, and of course there's also Spiritualized, and we're going out to the US in September, back into September, to do Pure Phase in its entirety, which I did a little bit of MDing for and a bit of kind of jiggery pokery to get it all together, running drones and stuff like that underneath Jason Pierce's songs, and just man, it's just dense. The calendar is dense. I'm lucky if I get a couple of days off in between all this, but it's worth it in the end, man. I love it so much. I do. I get back and I'm grumpy in front of my family for about 6 hours in the day, and then I go to bed and I wake up and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm fine now. I'll be all right. But it's just general fatigue just sits in.
Well, it's a barometer of success, isn't it? Being busy is being successful, as you said earlier. So yeah, that's definitely all good in my books. Obviously, all of this is going to be over your social media and things, so people can go there to find out more. Can you let people know where they can find your music, but also your social media side of things, so they can find more about you as well?
Yeah, man. So I'm all over Facebook and Instagram. It's just the Greg Coulson, not because my head's as big as the moon, but just because there was another Greg Coulson, and I thought I'd be the Greg Coulson. And then you can go on Facebook and just find me there, or better still, just type in Greg Coulson into Google, and loads of old rubbish will pop up on there, and you can come and stalk me and listen to my music. And of course, for the time being, I am on Spotify for the time being, but I don't know if somebody gives me any one more reason to leave Spotify, I am out of there, because that guy, Daniel F. Really. But mind you, this is going out on Spotify, isn't it, Dan? So,
It'll be out on multiple streaming services, so people don't have to choose Spotify. They don't have to.
yeah.
It's
Turn it
just the
off
one that
now.
I link. It's the only one I link because I know most people have Spotify, so it's the one that I link the easiest for people, just because it makes it easier for them to listen to. But yes, it will be going out on all streaming services. I will put loads of links and things anyway in the description below, Instagram handles, etc., all there for people to check you out. We'll wrap up quickly after we finish recording. But Greg, I just want to say a huge thank you for coming on to Music Fishbowl. It's been an absolute honor to have somebody who I've been such a fan of for, what is close to almost a decade now as well, to come on the podcast.
Thank you. It's been my absolute pleasure.
No, not a problem at all. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.